Welcome to another lesson. I'm Phil, and I'm going to be walking you through how to play See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth. Now, this song features a singing melody and some rap vocals, but we're not going to worry about the melody here in this arrangement because we're going to be learning the accompaniment style arrangement. That means we're playing the chords and the rhythms and the bass lines that you know from this song, and we're going to leave the melody out. This is going to be really fun. We're going to learn these chords, and then we're going to repeat them throughout each section of this piece. Let me demo it for you. Let me show you what you're going to be learning, and then we'll start breaking it down. There it is. We're going to have some fun with this one. Let's get started right now. We're not going to do all that at once. We're going to start with just the first section, the intro. And I'll show you the chords for the intro that we're going to be playing with our right hand. Let's dive in. So what we're looking at here is the notation just for the first few chords in the right hand. Before I teach you these chords, take a look up here at the key signature. I want to remind you, we've got two flats here. That tells us we're in the key of B flat major. All B's and E's are automatically going to be flat in the notation. All right, well, let's get our right hand up and start building these chords. Let's look at the first one here, G minor. There it is. Now, we're going to play this with D, G, and B flat. That's the order, and we can use our 1, 3, and 5 fingers. Go ahead and play that with me. Technically, this is a G minor chord in second inversion, but that's not really important. What's important is that you get your hand in the right spot, first finger on D, third finger on G, and you're going to want to slide your hand a bit back towards the back of the keys to get your fifth finger comfortably on B flat. By the way, that's very important. All of the chords we play here in the right hand in this section are going to have our pinky on B flat. So get anchored there. Here's our first chord, G minor. Moving to our second chord, it's quite easy. We're just changing the middle note. The outside notes stay the same. So here's G minor with our third finger on G in the middle. Our next chord is a B flat major chord with F in the middle, and we'll play that with our 2 finger. That's it, just that middle note changing from G minor to B flat. So B flat has D, F, and B flat in it. All right, moving on, the third chord we see here, the chord symbol tells us it's an E flat major chord. Let's figure out what that is. Here it is, and we're going to slide our hand back so our thumb can also play this black key comfortably. This is an E flat with our thumb. We've got a G with our third finger again here in the middle. And as I mentioned, pinky is still on B flat. Here's our third chord, the E flat major chord. Next in notation, we see another B flat, and we've already learned that, so we'll move back to that. And our final chord here we see is an F major chord. We're going to shift downward just a bit, and there it is. This is also a second inversion chord. It's an F major chord, and we're going to spell it from the bottom to the top: C, F, and A. And I'd prefer that we use our 1, 2, and 4 fingers here for this, because again, we want to keep our 5th finger up here ready to go on B flat. More to come in this section, as we can see, but for now, I'd just like to leave it there, and let's do a quick review. We're going to get our hand up for our first chord, G minor. Here it is. Then we're moving to our B flat chord. We're only changing our middle note from G with our 3rd finger to F with our 2nd finger. Now, moving to our E flat major chord, we're going to slide back so our thumb can comfortably reach the black key. There it is, 1, 3, 5, E flat, G, and B flat. We're going to move back to our B flat chord. Here it is. And then our last new chord, F major, with 1, 2, 4. So those are the first few chords that we're going to encounter here. What I'd like us to do is just practice that now, but in time. We want to bring in our backing track here so we can work on playing these rhythms evenly and accurately. So let's talk about that now. All right, so there it is in time, and that was at the slow speed. But even there, we could tell that there's some syncopations going on here. Some of these rhythms are a little tricky. So that's what I want to talk about now before we speed things up to full tempo. Now, look back at the notation. Notice our first chord starts at the beginning of the measure, G minor. But then we don't wait until the next measure to play B flat. We actually come in a little bit early with it. Then we tie it over into that next measure. There is one of the main syncopations that we find. So how do we make sure we're playing that correctly and accurately? Well, we want to subdivide. We want to count as we're learning this. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. These B flats actually play on the and. Check it out. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Same thing in the next measure. 1 and 2 and. So think about those B flat chords as coming in on the and. That's that syncopation. Now when we look ahead to the F major chord, we're not playing on the and, but we're also not playing at the beginning of the measure. It's another syncopation. So how do we play that F? We're going to play it on beat 2 instead of 1. And it goes like this. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. A real strong beat 2 there. So why don't I try to play this whole thing through now, and I'm going to count 1 and 2 and throughout each measure. 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Okay, there's the right hand for the first half of this intro at full speed. So now it's your turn. We're going to leave it there. I want you to practice that first half on your end. But before you go to full speed, you got to remember, take it slow. Practice it many times at the slow tempo before speeding it up. Okay, so now we're ready to learn the rest of this intro in the right hand. There's a couple more chords to fill in. Let's get started. And what we're looking at now is the entire right hand part here. We see the first half that we've already worked on, ending with our F chord, right? But then we see some stuff after that F chord, and that's the new material. But guess what? It's not actually new. We're just going to repeat the same stuff from the beginning of this intro. After we play our F chord, look at this. We move back to G minor to B flat on the and. Then our E flat major chord to B flat on the and. And we're not going to play this F at the end, okay? That F is kind of like a middle chord in the middle of this intro. So guys, you already know the whole part. We know the first half and now the second half. The only thing left to do is talk about how to transition from that F chord back to our G minor chord. Okay, let's do that now. So we're here on F, and remember, I told you to play that with 1, 2, and 4 fingers, right? Well, the reason for that is because we want to keep our 3rd and 5th fingers here ready to get back to our G minor chord. And with that said, watch my thumb this time. Our thumb reaches down to C for our F chord. When we get back to our G minor chord, it's important that the thumb comes back to D. If you can remember that, you're in great shape. So I think when you're ready, I'm ready to try this in time, and let's do it at the slow speed first. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. All right, now we're talking. When you're ready, let's speed it up to full tempo. Okay, your turn again. Move on to practice that full intro with the right hand. Now we're going to get into the left hand first for this intro. And we're going to start here by looking at the grand staff right out of the gate. Now that's the both hands notation. We're going to get there. First, let's just focus in on this left hand part. We're just playing single notes, and all of these notes are contained in one hand position. So let's start there. Here is the left hand position. We're going to get our pinky or our fifth finger on E flat. So right out of the gate, we're going to have to get high and back on our keys. Fifth finger on E flat. Fourth finger then on F. Third finger on G. Second finger on A flat. First finger on B flat. So this is a little bit of an awkward position, but if you take a minute to find it, it can be comfortable. 5 on E flat, 4 on F, 3 on G, 2 on A flat, and 1 on B flat. So that is our 5-finger position here. And here is the pattern once we're in that position. We're going to start with our third finger on G, and then play thumb on B flat. Then we have 5 on E flat, back to 1 on B flat. Then we have 4 on F, and then we're going to go back through that same thing again. Next measure, 3 on G, 1 on B flat. Again, 5 on E flat, back to 1 on B flat. So that is the left-hand part. And it might seem like a set of random notes, but I promise it's not. And I'm going to give you a tip here for how to learn this a bit easier, maybe even memorize it. Once you get your hand into your position, you can also look to the chord symbols that we see in notation here as a reminder of what notes to play in your left hand. Of course, you can also look at the finger numbers that are written underneath the notes. But the chord symbols tell us what note should be on the bottom of the harmony. We don't see any slashes in our chord symbols, so we don't have to worry about inversions. What we can do is get into our position, and we can use the chord symbols to remind us that we're playing a G, because we see a G minor chord symbol, and then a B flat, because we see a B flat chord symbol, right? Next measure, E flat chord symbol tells us we're playing an E flat note. See how that works? Back to B flat again. Then we have our F chord symbol. Well, sure enough, left hand fourth finger is going to play F. See that? Let's finish it out. G to B flat, E flat to B flat. All right, so that's what we're working with here when we put the hands together. We've got right hand chords, and we've got to make sure we spend time with that alone, right? Getting the transitions down and feeling comfortable. Now we have our left hand bass line in one position, but also moving around quite a bit. So you want to spend some time with that, getting that pattern familiar. Once you have both of those, then it's time to start to put the hands together. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll start at the slow tempo. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1. Okay, final step here, full tempo. Here we are, my friends. We are at the lesson on the chorus. So let's jump right in. And in fact, you've already learned all the material you're about to find here in the chorus, not only for the chorus, but also for the next verse and the following chorus. We've already learned the meat of this. Those chords and those rhythms are going to recycle throughout. So I'm going to play the chorus for you now. Then we're going to move on to verse 2 and chorus 2 and put the whole song together. So take a look at the music here. We can see our familiar chords, the B flats, the E flats, the G minors, all that stuff. What's different here compared to the intro is we don't have that F right away. It's in a different spot. So what you're going to find as I play through this is the challenge is really about remembering where the F goes. You'll see what I mean. Let me play this for you in full tempo and I'll call it out. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'm Phil. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that notification bell. And be sure to check out the Playground Sessions interactive app. It was co-created by music legend Quincy Jones. Playground teaches the piano with interactive feedback and gaming features, all while using your favorite songs.